Hard rock rare earths typically exist within deeper mineralisation zones, and with the primary rare earth mineralisation, commonly they'll have other impurity elements that exist in that primary rare earth mineral. So when you're looking at mining those deposits, typically deeper, higher costs, you're requiring quite specific mining methods. When you're looking at ionic adsorption clays, Mother Nature has effectively done the work on weathering the primary mineralisation, and the rare earths typically exist near surface over large areas, which enable bulk mining methods, so substantially lower mining cost. So the ionic adsorption clays exist near surface. As I mentioned previously, Mother Nature has weathered the original source of the rare earths. So these are rare earths that have originated from the primary hard rock rare earths and weathered over millions of years. Those rare earths now exist in the clay with a chemical bond, and we're able to simply extract those rare earths using very low cost mining and processing methods. Yes, so typically hard rock rare earth deposits have much higher head grades. They have much higher head grades, but are typically dominated by the presence of very low value rare earth elements, lanthanum and cerium. And so they typically have a higher head grade, which is effectively consumed by those low value impurity rare earths. The ionic adsorption clays have a much lower head grade, but have a higher composition of the heavy and critical rare earths that are required for the transition of global economies away from reliance upon carbon. And so we, from an ionic adsorption clay, produce a basket of rare earths that are more dominant in the heavy and critical rare earths that are going to be required for the technologies of the future. So as we've sort of touched on, the ionic adsorption clays have substantial advantages over the hard rock rare earth projects. The near surface mineralisation and continuity of the ionic adsorption clays mean that we can use bulk mining methods, so we have a much lower typical mining cost. With regards to the processing, we're able to recover the rare earths using very simple processing techniques. At Makuutu, we're planning on using heap leach technology, where effectively we're washing the clay with a salt solution. That salt exchanges with the rare earths. The rare earths exist in the clay in a chemical form, and we're able to simply wash the rare earths in a chemical form from the clay. We can precipitate it into a high value, high margin, critical and heavy rare earth dominant basket. That's a tough question. I mean, in China, the bulk of the rare earths are recovered via hard rock rare earth projects. There are a number of strategic deposits in South China and Southeast Asia, which supply about 20% of the mined rare earths, or allocated about 20% of the quotas for mined rare earths. That 20% actually produces about 95% of the world's heavy rare earths. These are the rare earths, the specific elements that are required for the development of the permanent magnets that operate at high temperatures in offshore wind turbines, and are going to be critical for the development of EVs into the future. So whilst the light rare earth projects can produce significantly more tonnage of rare earth elements, it's the heavy rare earth dominant ionic adsorption clays that provide the bulk of the rare earths that the world's going to need moving forward. Again, it comes back to economies of scale associated with, when you're talking about tons of rare earth oxides, or you're talking about tons of the desirable rare earths. When you're talking about the rare earths that the world needs going forward, it's the critical and heavy rare earths. When you're looking at the ionic adsorption clays, they have a clear advantage in the composition of the basket. And that composition, that basket composition, is effectively the rare earths that the world needs going forward. So So the Chinese utilise the ionic adsorption clays as the predominant source of the heavy rare earths that they require for their industry. They achieve a balance in the overall elemental rare earth production by using production sources, both hard rock and ionic adsorption clays. And it's through that balance that they're able to achieve a rare earth production suite that meets the requirements for their industry. If they focus primarily on the hard rock rare earths, they would produce excessive amounts of those light rare earth elements, including neodymium and praseodymium, in order to provide the required amounts of the heavy rare earth, dysprosium and terbium, for example. So it's very important that you get the balance by mining and processing a combination of the heavy rare earths that come from the ionic adsorption clays and the light rare earths that typically come from the hard rock light rare earth mineral deposits. Typically, ionic adsorption clays require a substantially less capital development threshold. So in the case of Makuutu, we're looking at a pre-production capital of 89 million US. And that's a fraction of the capital that would be required to develop a hard rock rare earth project. We're able to go straight from the rare earths in the ground to produce a value-added mixed rare earth carbonate product. There's no requirement for cracking. And because of that requirement or that advantage of the ionic adsorption clays, we get a substantial capital advantage over the hard rock rare earth projects.